So yeah, where was I in the story? Oh, these mosquitoes. Of course, it takes time for the coil to work too. Where was I? Second. Oh, I'm just gonna stand right here by this coil smoke and like, yay, protect me. Okay, so where was I? I'm so distracted. Oh yeah, so my attending put in my IV line, and of course he got it right away. And then there's a different guy who was like the different anesthesiologist who like hit the residents attending. And we got in the OR, and I remember like they got me set up to the diffuser and whatever, and like I was about to go to sleep, and I hear him go. Something like, "Is this your patient? You don't let another physician like put a line in your patient. You should have come to me. You shouldn't have let." And I felt so good. Like, I remember as I was falling asleep, I felt so bad because I had asked my preceptor to come and put it in. And I shouldn't have done that because then the attending over the resident, like, busted the resident's ass about it. And I felt so bad. I was like, he didn't go to him. I did. But then I fell asleep. That was the end of that story. But I just remember falling asleep while he got his ass ripped. And I was like, oh no. It was like crazy OR stories. And, so yeah, but I remember waking up in PACU and I was like, oh wow, I have cardiac output. Like, it was just such a difference. I felt immediately, like, yeah, it hurt and it was uncomfortable, and, like, trying to get used to the weight of it was really weird. Like, they just put it under the skin, I think I showed in part 1. Okay, close your eyes for 10 seconds if you don't want to see. So yeah, so like, it just goes under the skin, right? I hope I'm showing it okay, but, yeah, so, like, and it's heavy, right? So you feel it under there, like, anytime you're just, everything, you're so aware of it at first. It's kind of like a piece of jewelry, you know, like, when you first put it on, you're really aware of it, and then when your nerves get used to it, they stop firing, and it's all good. So at first, it was just, like, this crazy, oh my god, it was so uncomfortable. Like, no matter what position I was in, it was horrible. And then I had to keep my arm in a sling for, like, weeks so that the leads would, like, graft into the heart muscle. Because if you raise your arm too high, you could yank the leads out, which would be very bad. But I remember that night, like, I remember waking up in PACU, and I remember talking to some of the anesthesiologists about everything, and they were, like, really sweet and supportive and everything. And then the next thing I remember, I was up in my room, and my surgeon put a little Reese's on my little, like, patient, like, hospital table. And I just thought that was so sweet, because I was in there for Halloween, you know. Dreaded AC time. Okay, me and my coil are moving. I'm taking it with me. So, let's see. I should get some more line here for a second. Oh no, there's dog duder right there. I'll be right back, you guys. Okay, I'm back. I'm just gonna water my garden while we're talking here. Oh yeah, do you want to see how big the zucchini are? They grow so fast. Check it. Isn't that awesome? There's the one down below. I don't know if you can see. And this guy's standing up. And then this one down there is getting bigger too. You guys see that guy? I don't know if you can. I hope so. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah. I woke up and I immediately felt better, which was awesome. And then once I got up to my room, I woke up and my surgeon had left a little Reese's peanut butter cup on my tray, which was awesome. It was so sweet. And yeah, so, but the hardest things, well, it's so funny too, because I remember that night, walking in circles around the heart unit with my IV pole. Like, my mom was walking with me, and I was like, I have cardiac output, and I was like doing this dumb dance. It was so funny. Well, I did feel so much better, but yeah, I really did. It was painful. Um, it's not brutal, but anytime something's implanted, that does damage, yeah. So, what I did not expect was how weird a paced heartbeat feels. And I remember going to the pacer lab, because you have to have adjustments made after you get them. Like, the first 24 hours, it's on this, like, baseline setting, and it just learns, like, and it'll keep doing it. Like, God, they're so smart. They're like little microcomputers, seriously. Like, they're so smart. And they will, like, collect data about your activities of daily living and, like, what times of day you need more cardiac output. It's like a whole huge, like, complicated thing. If you have specific questions to ask, and I'll get into it. But the hardest thing is getting used to the weight of it in my chest, like, feeling the weight under the skin of the pacer, and not being able to lay certain ways. Like, I couldn't sleep on my side anymore, either side. On the left, it hurt too much, like my shoulder pushed into it, and on the right, the weight of it hanging down was too much. So I had to learn to sleep on my back, which was very uncomfortable for me, and I, to this day now, sleep on my back. But for the first couple months, at least the first month, I was going up to the lab once a day for adjustments, like, or every few days for adjustments, because they have to, I mean, it's not perfect. It has to learn, and they can adjust all different kind of settings, like the strength of the impulse, and different maximum and minimum rates. Alright, sorry about that, I got cut off. But yeah, so they can change a whole bunch of settings, like how strong the actual, like, lead pulse is, and delay between the atrium and ventricle to give time for conduction from the top to the bottom of the heart, and, like, all different things they can do. And then they can also, like, do tests where they sense, like, lead impedance, like, after they've been in place for a while, scar tissue forms, and, like, around them, like, where they enter the heart muscle, and scar tissue doesn't conduct electricity. And so, if there's too much scar tissue, they're really well designed now, and they actually put anti-inflammatories on the tips of the leads now, so the scarring is less. But they can check and see, like, are you getting enough signal? And then, like, when you go to get tested, they can check and see, like, do you have any intrinsic heart rate, or are you totally dependent on the pacemaker? Like, they're just incredible. But yeah, so it took a lot. It was like a long, hard process for me to get used to it. And I guess older patients don't have that trouble, like, you know, like geriatric patients who get pacemakers aren't as sensitive usually as younger patients. And I remember the techs telling me, like, or the nurses telling me, like, because people who are young are a lot more active usually and in tune with their bodies, it can be, like, everybody's different, but if you're very sensitive, it's a serious adjustment, and I'm one of those people, so it was really tough. And then, but you get used to it, you know, like, you have no choice. So I'm good now. I don't, I'm aware of it if I think about it, but otherwise I'm okay. So thank God for that. And like I said, I used to just sit there at night, like, feeling my pulse, going, is it gonna work? Is it gonna work? You know, like, freaking out. What if it stops? And whatever. You know what? What if your own heart stops? Like, you can't live like that. And I kind of figured that out. Like, it doesn't really matter. If it's gonna fail, it's gonna fail, and I can't just sit and live in fear the rest of my life, you know? So, yeah, I got over it, but like I said, I mean, I've had these things, My first one lasted 7 years. Now I'm on my second, and this is year 6. So I have a lot of experience now. The second implant was hard because my lead broke, like fractured in the OR. And so I had, like, my heart stopped for a while. It was, like, really scary. And I remember Mr. Empath telling me, that surgery was way too long. He was like, they told us it'd be a certain amount of time. He was like, it took forever. And he kept going and asking what was going on. And, like, you know how there's, well, I don't know if you know, but usually there's, like, a waiting area when people have surgery. And there'll be, like, a receptionist or a nurse, like, relaying calls from the OR to family or whatever. And Mr. Empath went up and was like, what's going on, you know? And he said just the expression on the lady's face, like he could tell something was wrong. And yeah, I guess when they went to unplug, like, usually when they switch out just the generator, which is the circular part that gets implanted under the skin, they can just unplug the leads and plug them into a new generator, which is like the battery part and the computer part. The leads are just like insulated wires that go down, stick in your heart to send the impulses. When they unplugged my ventricular lead, it fractured. And that's the important one. Like, it's not great, but you can live without atrial contraction. Like, people who have atrial fibrillation, it sucks, but you're not going to die. If you don't have your ventricles don't contract, that's what pushes the blood around, you know, like, around to your body. The top of the heart is just kind of like an extra fill for each ventricle, but the bottom part of the heart is like where all the important stuff goes on. So yeah, that lead fractured and there was no impulse, and yeah, so my heart stopped for a while on the table. It was like really freaky. So they ended up having to replace that lead. But, and this creeps me out, they don't take the old lead out. So like, I don't know, I'm really creeped out by shit like that. So I have an extra fractured lead in there that's not used, and then they just inserted another ventricular lead. So I have like 2 good leads and 1 old one in there. It's just bizarre that they can do that. It doesn't mess things up. It's weird. Medicine and the human body are amazing. So yeah, I've been doing good. And so yeah, I just thought I'd share that kind of like story, and I hope this will help someone, because I kind of did a little searching on YouTube for like heart patients or whatever, and there's not much. There's like clinical videos, but so yeah, maybe this will help somebody if they have a loved one or end up needing a pacer. So yeah, that's my story. And I'm going to go rest now. My garden's watered. And I'm going to lay down. And then I'll get woken up by my Mr. Empath when he gets home. So much love, guys. I will talk to you soon. Be well, precious ones.